It's Thursday, October 29th, and this is now on HNN.
My request is, please don't do this, folks.
Honolulu police say they will be out in force to prevent large gatherings on Halloween.
If that works, let's do it.
COVID cases continue to surge across the country as top doctors call for more mask mandates. I'm Naomi Ruckham with a look at the nation's hotspots.
A scare in the sky. A man is detained after trying to open emergency exits on a Hawaiian Airlines flight.
I tried to separate him from the door.
The cleanup begins after Hurricane Zeta slams into the Gulf Coast. I'm Danya Backus in New Orleans with a look at the damage.
They've shrunk their fleet.
These stories plus air travel prices are low, but why are rental cars still so expensive? We'll explain coming up on This Is Now.
Good afternoon, Jonathan and Ashley coming to you on this Thursday from the H&N Digital Center. We've got a lot of news to get to once again today. We're going to begin with those latest coronavirus numbers coming from the state.
Health officials say 2 more Oahu patients with COVID-19 have died, bringing Hawaii's official death toll to 215. DOH is also reporting 77 new infections today. There are 60 cases on Oahu, 8 on the Big Island, 3 in Maui County, and 1 on Kauai, and 5 out of state. Meanwhile, Hiro Toya, the director of the Honolulu Department of Emergency Management, joined us to discuss free COVID-19 testing for Oahu residents.
So, it's been almost 2 weeks, actually 2 weeks to the day since tourism opened back up. And we of course, had a lot of attention for the travelers, but it's really important that we continue to take care of our own and keep our house in order. So what we're trying to do is to provide free testing for our residents and also a special focus on our visitor industry workers, making sure that they can get tested at their convenience. So we've strategically located our testing sites near them.
Okay, we want to clarify just a couple of things. First of all, this doesn't completely ruin, your everyday schedule. If you get the test, you don't have to quarantine unless you actually have symptoms, right?
Yeah, absolutely, Steve. So, we do encourage people to stay connected to their doctors, but we make this testing available. And of course, if you have symptoms and you're getting tested, you should quarantine while you wait for the results. But folks who think they might have potentially had an exposure or they're concerned and they're getting tested and they don't have any symptoms, they can go about their day. This is an easy nasal swab test. You're going to be in and out really quick. We got a really organized team out there run by our awesome incident management team with all of our public safety agencies with help from the Hawaii National Guard. So easy testing in and out. And unless you have symptoms, you don't need a quarantine.
Yeah, can this surge testing be used to avoid the inter-island quarantine when traveling?
So this test is not yet approved for the Safe Travels program. And our focus really is on our community here and making sure that our residents and our workers here stay safe. And of course, we've been in our tier 2 of our reopening framework since last week. And it's been amazing. The people of Oahu have been doing an incredible job. Testing doesn't replace masking and physical distance and staying home when you're sick and all the good things that you got to do. But we've been doing so great. We've actually hit our tier 3 number. So if things keep up and keep going in this direction, we can enter into tier 3 come November 19th. But it's really incumbent on all of us to keep up with the safe practices. When we wear masks, it's really partly to protect ourselves, but to protect others around us. And so while we have this limited federal resource, and by the way, this is available through November 30th, we encourage folks to get tested, not only for yourself, but for those around you. Make sure that you're not infected, creating some kind of a cluster around you and those that your family or those you work with. So get tested for yourself, get tested to protect those around you, and keep using those safe practices out there.
Yeah, I think from the outside looking in, there were a lot of people concerned about the visitors coming in and what that would do for our numbers. So far, we've been good. Hiro, give us the information, the website. Where do we need to go if we're looking to get a test?
Yes, absolutely. You can go to oneoahu.org/COVID-19-testing, and all the information is there. There's a calendar there, and also a link to our registration page. So if you register ahead of time before you get to the site, the process is super smooth. You're going to be in and out. There's plenty of parking at the sites. Today we're at the Waikiki Shell, Kolina Resort Center, and Windward Mall, and we're running 9 to 2 every day, Monday through Saturday.
Well, some travelers to the state are wondering why their airfare was so low, but their rental car is so expensive. CBS News travel editor Peter Greenberg explained today.
Well, the rental car companies, it's not just Hawaii. They have shrunk their fleet nationwide, including Hawaii. They also know you're a captive audience there. You don't have a car in Hawaii. You actually have to rent one. Many of us rent a car when we have a car for other reasons. But in Hawaii, the actual fleet has shrunk in size, and the rates go up.
Peter speaking on his weekly Facebook forum on travel issues. By the way, here's his update on how he thinks the state's pre-travel testing program is going.
Well, right now it's really slow. And the pre-testing programs in Hawaii are also getting slow. Not everybody knows the right test to take. It's a big problem still in Hawaii, and hopefully that will improve. But right now, there's a lot more confusion than chaos. So I suppose that's a good thing.
Thousands of people are still flying to Hawaii every day. The latest data from the Hawaii Tourism Authority shows on Tuesday more than 1,000 returning residents flew back home, and nearly 1,300 people came here for vacation. One of those passengers flew to Honolulu from Chicago and had tested positive for COVID-19, but that person didn't know before getting on the flight because the result came in after landing on Oahu. Lieutenant Governor Josh Green tells us it's against federal law for any state to require a negative test before boarding a plane, so all Hawaii can do is ask them to quarantine.
We're going to spend a lot of energy to get people to have their test result before they travel, but it is the law, and we're not allowed to stop someone from flying. We can only quarantine them. That's unfortunately what the law is across the country.
Earlier this year, the state explored the possibility of banning incoming flights, but federal agencies said Hawaii would lose significant federal funding. The number of COVID-19 cases is surging on the mainland, especially in the Midwest and Rocky Mountain states, where some hospitals are overwhelmed with patients. Naomi Ruckham reports.
The surging COVID-19 cases across the country are not just due to more testing, according to Dr. Anthony Fauci.
We're going to have many more hospitalizations, and that will inevitably lead to more deaths. You're using the word mandating masks. Yes, if that works, let's do it.
The governor of Kansas is strongly considering a mask mandate with record-breaking cases, overstrained hospitals, and rising deaths.
The state did not reach 500 COVID deaths until September, roughly 6 months after the pandemic began. It took a little over 6 weeks for another 500 Kansans to die.
Missouri and Indiana are also seeing a dramatic rise in hospitalizations, and Indiana set a daily high for COVID cases. Finding the balance between the economy and keeping people safe remains a challenge. New York City is now allowing about 40,000 stores to sell goods on the sidewalk.
If the stuff is on the street already, it would definitely help a lot.
But in Massachusetts, many restaurant tents are coming down due to cold weather.
It is concerning. I mean, the tent definitely helped us to keep our heads above water. But with all of this now just going indoors, it is concerning.
The virus continues to claim lives, like 65-year-old Sharon Hunt, a retired teacher from Milford, Ohio. Her heartbroken family says many are not taking the virus seriously.
When they go around and saying it's less than 1%, when that less than 1% is your mother, it opens your eyes. This isn't a percentage, that's somebody's family member.
Hunt's husband says he also thought the virus was a hoax until recently. Naomi Ruckham, CBS News, New York.
Developing news from Europe, both France and Germany going back into lockdown. Elizabeth Palmer has the latest.
Enjoying the last few hours of freedom with friends, Parisians watched their president deliver the bad news.
Je compte sur chacun d'entre vous.
Emmanuel Macron told the country a new lockdown had to be a brutal break on rocketing COVID infections. As of midnight tonight, bars, restaurants, and non-essential businesses will close until December, though schools and factories will stay open. But police will check that anyone out on the street has a good reason to leave home. Planes have been flying severely ill patients to hospitals in other parts of France that can take them, and more than half of intensive care beds are already full. In Barcelona, restaurant workers protested against closures in Spain that have thrown many of them out of work. But there's no chance European leaders can ease restrictions now with more than 1 million new infections over the last week. That's nearly half of all new cases on Earth. Even Germany, where masks and above all efficient testing had kept the infection rate low, is risking losing control. For the first time, a partial lockdown there will close restaurants, bars, and movie theaters until December. Here in the UK, there are severe restrictions in some areas, but the infection is skyrocketing anyway. And now scientists and some politicians say a national lockdown is the only way to slow it down. Elizabeth Palmer, CBS News, London.
Federal authorities arrested a man who they say tried to open the exit door during a Hawaiian Airlines flight. The company says the man became unruly on Flight 3 from Los Angeles to Honolulu. Passengers on that flight and the crew helped restrain the man as he became more violent. We talked to one of those passengers.
I wrapped my arms around him and I tried to separate him from the door and the flight attendant. In the process, the flight attendant, was hurt because he was so determined to get out, I guess, or stay, attached to the door handle.
Hawaiian Airlines says the cabin doors are designed so they cannot be opened during a flight. Now, the plane landed just before 1 p.m. yesterday. A flight attendant was treated for injuries. The suspect, who has not been identified, is being held on suspicion of assault and interfering with a flight crew.
To business news now, some big box retailers and restaurants are moving into the islands. Howard Dykes has more.
The retailer already has 7 stores on other islands. Now, PBN's Janice Megan reports Target has signed a lease for the old Kmart space at Kukui Marketplace. No date for opening yet. Hawaii gets its first Olive Garden. It opens today at 5 p.m. with 99 staffers in the former Bubba Gump space at Ala Moana Center. Local franchisee Union Mac plans a second Olive Garden soon at Kamakana Ali'i Mall. Wings stop Zippy's. Zippy's offers wings in 7 flavors, including plain, teriyaki, savory li hing, orangey mustard, Chinese 5-spice, regular Korean, and atomic kimchi.
This Saturday is a big test for the islands. Halloween is a nightmare scenario for spreading germs, so leaders are begging families to be smart. Chelsea Davis has more.
It's the first time in 5 years the holiday has landed on a Saturday. That's prompting even more concern that some might just flat out ignore COVID-19 restrictions. The spookiness of Halloween this year goes beyond goblins and ghouls, as the coronavirus is the trick threatening everyone's treats.
So we're just asking people to just follow the rules. We don't want to go to a lockdown, and if we have a super spreader, that's what's going to happen, and I don't want to see that.
Typically, the streets of Waikiki are packed with people celebrating the holiday. This year, Honolulu police pledge a large presence, not just in Waikiki, but around the island, cracking down on large gatherings. Last month, Honolulu Mayor Kurt Caldwell gave the green light for traditional trick-or-treating despite recommendations against it from the CDC. Today, Caldwell said although it's allowed, it's not advised.
And as mayor, I'm asking families, moms and dads, significant others, single parents, do not encourage your children to trick-or-treat door to door, whether it's a group of 5 or less. It's just not safe this year.
At Party City in Kalihi, the store was packed with shoppers trying to get creative.
Yeah, we're 100% behind the governor and the mayor as far as social distancing and wearing your mask and trying to, beat COVID by being responsible.
If we do get trick-or-treaters, we'll might do a grabber and grab some candy, but we'll probably don't think we'll see any. So we'll probably just have popcorn and some scary movies.
Some are still going trick-or-treating, but with limitations.
Just have a small family gathering. The whole family's dressing up in Spider-Man characters, so just really small, take the kids down the street, maybe a few different houses we know.
Whether it's staying indoors or celebrating creatively outdoors, these shoppers say this spooky season has been scary enough. Other ideas to celebrate the holiday are drive-through trick-or-treating, a Halloween-themed outdoor scavenger hunt, or virtual costume contest. Chelsea Davis, Hawaii News Now.
Speaking of Halloween, here's a safe way you can celebrate right from the comfort of your home. It's our virtual This Is Now costume contest, and here are the prizes. Each of our 3 grand prize winners that we will announce tomorrow will receive a $100 Hele gas card, a $50 gift card provided by Diamond Bakery, a $50 gift card provided by Honolulu Burger Company, and 2 park tickets from Wet n Wild Hawaii.
And we're so excited to announce our 6 finalists. It was so hard, you guys, to narrow it down. We had hundreds of entries, but these are our finalists. You can see RBG, a little baby Subway sandwich, you got a Tiger King, a marshmallow DJ set. Look at that family from Jurassic Park, or Lost World, I should say. And then the Lego Spider-Man and Iron Man. These are our 6 finalists. All pictures are posted right now on Hawaii News Now's Instagram page. All you got to do is vote for your favorite. Voting goes until 9 a.m. tomorrow, and then we will announce the top 3 grand prize winners on This Is Now's 1-year anniversary show tomorrow at noon.
Yeah, and then our costume surprises as well. Yeah. Man, that was tough. I spent way too much time this morning going through those. It was amazing, though.
We're clearly suckers for pop culture and homemade costumes, I think. Yeah.
Definitely. So what's the weather going to be like this weekend? Let's turn it over to Billy V, who's in for Guy Hockey.
Aloha, I'm Billy B, sitting in for Guy Hoggy. Here's your Thursday forecast. Let's start telling you about the low that's just north of the islands, and it's bringing, of course, that frontal system that brought the rain and showers over Kauai and Oahu yesterday. Well, that is now stalled over Maui County. We'll show you that rain fall in just a little bit. But as we put this in motion and move forward in time, the low is, of course, going counterclockwise, and that's bringing us winds from the west. And we're waiting for it to come from the east and the northeast, and that would be regular trade wind weather. But as we see, it's not until Tuesday that we finally start to get some regular trade wind flow. So we'll call it late Monday into Tuesday is when we start to see the trade winds come back. Now, today's forecast, mostly sunny to partly cloudy skies depending on where you are. For Kauai, Oahu, it's going to be wet for today for Maui County. Spotty rain, a chance of thunderstorms there. And then for Hawaii Island, afternoon clouds and some rainfall. Up in the northern sections of the Hawaii Island, they may see some of that residual rainfall that Maui is experiencing. So shower bands today. It'll get a little bit drier. We'll get some showers back on Sunday. And Monday, there's your trade wind weather beginning for a little bit until we lose them again and trade winds go light. As always, get the latest on air on your mobile device and at HawaiiNewsNow.com.
People along the Gulf Coast are assessing the damage after another powerful storm. New Orleans took a direct hit from Hurricane Zeta. Danya Bacchus reports.
Zeta made landfall in Louisiana as a Category 2 hurricane, packing winds up to 110 miles an hour, destroying this trailer in Plaquemines Parish and damaging so much more. Overnight, more than 500,000 people were without power across the state. The storm inundated some areas with flash flooding, sheared the awning off a gas station, blew a building's wall open, and caused an apartment's roof to collapse, injuring one person inside.
We have since lost one of our residents.
The mayor of New Orleans warned people to let safety officials assess the damage after one person died touching a downed power line. The storm later downgraded to a Category 1, slamming Mississippi and causing another death in Biloxi, where Zeta's powerful winds knocked the steeple off of this church and rising floodwaters prompted first responders to evacuate several people.
The house was flooding, the water was coming in really fast and we didn't know what to do. We all just gathered around and prayed and hoped everything was okay.
This is on Highway 90.
The flooding was so severe, a sailboat was among the debris to wash onto the highway and past Christiane. And overnight, crews were already working to clear off the streets.
Stuff was blowing through that I didn't understand, but the noises were horrendous. I mean, I really was scared. 2020 yet again.
And just to give you a glimpse of the damage done by the storm, take a look at this apartment complex. The roof has collapsed. There's a window and bricks from the wall now on the ground. A major concern here, the presidential election. Louisiana's governor said polling places will be prioritized for restoration, and President Trump has approved disaster declarations for here and Mississippi. Danya Backus, CBS News, New Orleans.
Here's what the internet is talking about, you guys. A new expedition has found a coral reef taller than the Empire State Building off the coast of Australia. It's part of the Great Barrier Reef, the most extensive and spectacular coral reef ecosystem on the planet. Australian scientists say the massive detached reef is some 1,600 feet tall and nearly a mile wide. Now, the expedition leader said it was the first detached reef of that size to be discovered in over 120 years.
That's crazy big and beautiful.
Yeah, and Coca-Cola and Amazon are teaming up to bring you a contactless soda fountain experience. So Coke's Freestyle machine uses a touchscreen interface and features more than 200 drink options, but soon you won't have to touch the screen. The beverage company teamed up with Amazon to create a mobile pour solution. So basically you operate the machine with your smartphone. There's no app. All you do is scan the QR code on the machine, which brings the touchscreen interface to your phone, and then you press pour until your cup is full.
Another innovation that's happened amid the pandemic there. All right, guys, most important story of the day. It's National Cat Day. Shout out to my fellow cat lovers out there. Today is, of course, one of the biggest holidays of the year, National Cat Day, which means it's a perfect day to brag about your feline. There he is, Dracula the cat, my best friend. How you doing? I know you're watching This Is Now at home on the couch, just like you look there in the picture. Love you, man.
You leave the TV on for him?
Of course. He's got to see Auntie Ashley. Got to. Let's get to some good news.
Yes, a Punahou student's artistic ability is opening eyes, and Jim Mendoza introduces us to the 16-year-old who's using her talent to make a bold statement.
Stephanie Hung's interest in art started when she was a child and her family was living in Hong Kong.
In school, during art classes, I realized that I put a bit more effort than maybe my other classmates would in class.
At just 16, the Punahou School senior is already an accomplished artist, challenging herself with every piece she paints.
I'm like a kid, I'm a teenager, but sometimes my art can really make a difference.
Her latest project, a 48-foot-long mural, was recently unveiled at Wet 'n Wild, Hawaii.
When I saw the opportunity with the little pieces and the big piece on the right, like it kind of fired up something in me, and I was like, okay, wait, maybe this might not be the easiest option, but maybe I could definitely send a bigger message.
Stephanie enjoys environmental themes. She wants her art to inspire people to care for the earth.
It's just really important to know that you shouldn't take these things for granted.
She has applied her brushes and paints to all kinds of surfaces. Nothing is out of bounds.
I did canvas shoes like Vans and water bottles, and I did a couple of masks this past summer, and some tissue boxes and glassware, like anything you can find, really.
She now has her own art business called Artists with Aloha and a nonprofit called Artist Saves Waves. Proceeds from future murals will help fund Sustainable Coastlines Hawaii.
They really inspire the local community to make a difference here.
Now that the Wet 'n Wild piece is in public view, keep an eye out. Stephanie has other colorful projects ready to jump off the drawing board.